Our journey is just about a week old now, and we're all the way up to Ashtabula, Ohio. Tell you a little bit about our trip. We're trying to learn more about two of the men that could change the Jacksonville Jaguars organization. Urban Meyer, of course, and Trevor Lawrence, assuming the Jaguars draft him with the first overall pick, the quarterback from Clemson. More on Trevor in just a moment, but first, Urban, we are at the fields where he played Little League Baseball. And before Urban Meyer was a big-time head coach and even a college football player at the University of Cincinnati, he was a professional baseball player. He was very good at baseball. This was his first love, and he eventually made it to the minor leagues. More on Urban coming up in just a moment with Action Sports Jax Stuart Weber. But let's go back to where this trip started, and that is Cartersville, Georgia, just northwest of Atlanta, a small town of 20,000, and that is where Trevor Lawrence is from. That's where the legend started to grow. Back when he was in middle school, and then, of course, in high school, he took over as a freshman, won a couple of state championships along the way, and a national championship at Clemson, and more wins, and now most likely the top quarterback in the 2021 NFL Draft. We learned a lot about Trevor Lawrence with some of the folks that know him best.
You know how hard it is to win in the NFL. I mean, he could lose more games in the first month than he lost his entire career at Clemson. Will he handle that okay, that level of adversity?
When you say, will he handle it well? No, he's not. He's not going to like it. You know, he's going to be driven to be successful, just like everybody else in that locker room will be. And I think he'll understand it's a process. I think you'll have to have a shared vision with the front office and with the head coach. And I think you'll see, them work hand in hand to build it from the ground up and hopefully create a level of sustained success. I think that would be the ideal situation for him. And I know that in his heart, that would be what he would want.
I don't know Trevor Lawrence, but there was all that time where he was scheduled to maybe go or slated to go to New York, and then it flipped late in the season. And now Jacksonville, a lot of people around the NFL are like, oh, you'd rather be in New York than Jacksonville. Why do I get the sense that kind of small-town Trevor Lawrence might fit better in Jacksonville than New York?
I think, well, I can't speak for him, but certainly being closer to home is going to be important to him and his family. The sensibilities of Jacksonville, he's probably a little bit more familiar. I don't know if he's ever been to Jacksonville, but I know he had said he'd never been to New York before. And I think the pace, I think he's going to fit in wherever he goes. He can certainly handle himself. But I do think from a franchise perspective, if we want to get into football a little bit, I think from a franchise perspective, obviously having Urban Meyer come in and be the coach, having a team with a lot of cap space and 11 draft picks, I think you find yourself coming into a situation where you're going to be able to deal from a position of strength organizationally much better than you would have in New York.
That's the Trevor Lawrence part of the story, at least for now. So much more to come, assuming Urban Meyer and the Jacksonville Jaguars select him with the top pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. Now back to a little more on Urban Meyer, the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is where he's from. It is cold. It is snowy. It's about 50 miles northeast of Cleveland, right on Lake Erie. It's Ashtabula, Ohio. And Urban Meyer loves his hometown. With more on that story, let's toss it over to Action Sports Jax Stuart Weber, who's at a familiar place for Urban Meyer.
Just a couple miles from you in the baseball fields are the football fields where a young Urban Meyer learned about the game that would go on to be his profession for nearly the rest of his life as a successful head coach. Ashtabula is a blue-collar town, a town with deep roots and one that's really deep in the heart of Urban Meyer. You talk to his friends here in town and you get that sense. He loves Ashtabula and he loves coming back home.
All the families knew each other, belonged to the same churches. You know, we went to school, the same grade school together, same high school. We all went to the same dances growing up. All the families, parents knew each other. You know, so it was a community. It was, and I think that he liked that, and he still says it's the best place in the world to grow up.
He comes here, he wants to get away from all that and just hang out with the guys he hung out with in high school, and he knows people he's more secure with. You know, instead of people always bother him, this and that, we try and keep him away from that when we can. But he loves it here. He'll tell you when you guys talk to him down there, he loves Ashtabula, and he loves saying that's where he's from.
Normally when Urban decides to come home, it doesn't look like this. There's no snow on the ground. He likes to be here in the summertime. It's a completely different feel with Lake Erie and a lot of sun and fun in the summertime. Brent, let's go back to you.
We're not done with our trip just yet. This Action Sports Jax trip next takes us to Canton, Ohio. That is home of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and hopefully someday home of Jaguars legend Tony Baselli. And a little bit later on this week, we will be at Clemson University, of course, where Trevor Lawrence played his college football. That'll do it for now. It's chilly here in Ashtabula, Ohio. It's supposed to get about 6 inches of snow over the next 24 hours or so. We'll try to make our way through that.
Action Sports Jax Primetime, Saturday at 10:30 on Fox 30.